guys, thanks for joining me for another Few with You. Today's topic matter is what should hosting cost? For those that are not familiar with hosting, that is basically where the website is housed. So the website works in two things. You've got your domain, which is example.com, and then you have the actual content of the website. So where you park the car is the hosting, and the car is the actual website. And that's kind of explain it to people that aren't familiar with it. But this happens a lot. More than half the time, people come to me that already have a website, and I ask them where is their site currently hosted at. And when I find out that they're paying more than $50 to $100 a year in hosting with a site that doesn't require a lot of bells and whistles, there's no CRM, there's no e-commerce, etc. I educate and I highly recommend trying to get on a platform and or a host that's going to more fit their budget and actually reflect what they need. A lot of times people just sign up for platforms or portals and they think it's what they need, and they end up finding out by a guy like me or someone who else has integrity in the industry and says, man, you're paying, I had a client the other day paying $180 a year in hosting for a simple 5-page website. That may not sound like a lot, and a lot of people are actually paying that already, but your hosting could be a lot less, and it could be a lot, streamlined and save you a lot of money, and it adds up over the years. So let's just jump right into it. You're going to notice I just kind of handpicked a few that are top in the industry right now. I'm a huge fan of GoDaddy. I've been with GoDaddy since 2001. I know a lot of people love them, a lot of people hate them, but ultimately they do well by me. I do like they actually have a WordPress hosted environment. That's not for everybody if you don't have a WordPress site, obviously. But just to give you an idea for a basic website that's going to still look good, smell good, and do its job, you can see when you're first signing up, you take $299 times it by 12, and I mean, you're talking about $35-ish a year for your website. Now, for those that are a little bit more educated and know that, hey, well, maybe I want a cPanel hosted environment so I can add more websites or functionality to one particular website as it may grow into an e-commerce and or have a CRM, then you may look into some other plans. But ultimately, you'll notice that there's no reason really why the general public, especially in our immediate area here in the Flagler County area, should be paying more than $50 to $100 a year. So that's the rule of thumb. If you're paying more than that now and you're not utilizing and you're not familiar with, you don't have an e-commerce, you don't have a lot of additional functionality that seems to justify that cost, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. I can look into it. No cost. I'll let you know, hey, I don't think you really need to be paying for this, that, and this. But just to give you an understanding too, when you're using these web builders, I get asked all the time, like, well, what about these Wixes and Squarespace and Shopifys? They're all great. I don't want to lessen the integrity of those particular portals. I use them a lot for different clientele depending on their needs. But to give you an understanding, here's their pricing structure just for Wix. Now, once again, majority of the people that I know that have used this, they're pretty good with just this. A lot of these web builders, and no disrespect, Wix, you guys are doing great, but I mean, when you start seeing things like $300 ad vouchers and site boosters and things of that nature, don't let that stuff really impress you too much. It's more of getting rid of the ads. A lot of these free web builders, they supply a free web resource, but then if you don't pay, the domain will have a funky domain like example.wix.com. A lot of these, they do that. So for a nominal cost, I think this one is, once again, most people can get away with this, but you can start to do your own math. Instead of $35-ish a year for a basic website, now you're paying, $132. Why are you paying more? Because Wix is giving you that web environment and an easy way of manipulating and building. But once again, you can start to kind of price, sink your teeth into this. Same thing with Squarespace. Phenomenal platform, does a lot of good work for a lot of people. It's kind of you want to say easier, but kind of, it kind of holds your hand through the process, and a lot of great sites use it, and it comes with an SSL. But once again, you could do your own math and figure out like what's best going to fit you. Same thing with Shopify. You can kind of see their pricing structures a little bit more. Now, I can tell you, doing this for quite some time now, that's always an incline. You're never going to see these platforms decrease in cost. A lot of them are always going to go up by a couple bucks a year, which is drastic, but you'll see it. I remember Shopify back in the day was free for X amount of products. Now there's no free one, and it automatically is going to give you a 14-day trial, I think, and the most minimum one is $29 a month. I think it was less than a year ago, it was $25. So it shows you you've got to be prepared for paying these fees as long as you stake on them. Now check this out too. Please, once you're using these platforms, if you do not buy your URL and or even take the free URL when they're doing that. A lot of them will offer that, especially Wix. You'll see it says free domain with this particular package. Don't ever even take them up on that. And once again, no disrespect, Wix and all those other platforms that offer it. It's great, but I don't like using web platform builders as my registrar. And I don't want to go too much in depth, but just make it to where buy your domains from a registrar that's like selling the domains and kind of specializing in that. And one of the companies that I do this with is name.com. I highly recommend them. They also offer hosting and all that. I particularly haven't used it. I haven't heard anything against it, but once again, you'll notice you can buy your domain from them. You can see some of the domains, they start at like $4. You're not paying this inflated price. And then once again, you control your DNS and you control that, and you don't have to pay. I think once the URL goes up for renewal on Wix, I know it goes to about $15 a year after the first year. And everyone knows in the industry that $15 for a basic domain is overkill. It's literally like 2-3 times the cost of what it should cost when you're buying it from a registrar. But ultimately, I hope this made sense. It's really just coming down to trying to save every buck that you can so that the extra money you are spending goes into marketing and some potential return on investment. But I think this was helpful, and if it wasn't, let me know. Thanks.